You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
With great weapons that elevate them at 6'1". They're athletic, but there's no wow there athletically. I mean, Tua struggles in cold weather. I saw
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for The Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Gary Harris Show, the TGIF edition, live from Innisfree Irish Pub. That's right. Fridays at the Free continues. It's the Iron Bowl edition, and just doesn't get a lot better than this. Beautiful morning, absolutely gorgeous. Now, it's chilly outside as we're finally getting some seasonal weather, but I'm at 1925 University Boulevard. That's the... Everybody knows where Innisfree's at, but I'm here, and Moose just told me that, listen, we don't open until 11, but as I've said before, if you want to slide around the side door, I'm here and hang out with us. Can't start eating food until 11, but you know what? If you slide on by, they can fix you a drink, as long as you drink it on premises. Just saying, you can have a toddy. You can have a toddy, you can have a soft drink, you can have, whatever. So if you want to slide by here and kick off the Iron Bowl festivities, Moose is inform me that they can fix you a drink, just can't serve any food until 11 a.m. But you could have a toddy to kind of knock the rust off a little bit here if you want to swing by and hang out with us at Innisfree Irish Pub. It is Friday, November the 29th, 2024. As I said, I'm Gary Harris here at Innisfree Irish Pub. Chase Brumfeld is back in our studio and control room there at Town Square Media on Skyland Boulevard. Good morning, Chase.
Good morning, Gary. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing okay. I, like everyone else, yesterday enjoyed a holiday break. Now, I will update some people because some people have asked me. This is my first Thanksgiving without my mother, and I did not. My sister and brother-in-law, of course, live in Birmingham, and their daughters and husbands and families all live in Birmingham, and normally, or not normally, but a lot of times we have Thanksgiving over there, but they went on over to his family's over in Cleveland County for Big Country Thanksgiving, and I did not go because I have not been feeling great this week. That's something that I've been dealing with, and with a long, long day today and a long, long day tomorrow, I decided just to, I missed everybody, I'll tell you that. Certainly missed my mother, but I decided just to stay home yesterday and kind of just take it easy, watch the football, relax. So I did not have the normal Thanksgiving dinner that most people had, but my sister tried. She ordered a hot meal for me through Uber Eats, Chase, and I got to tell you, man, she sent it to me and said, you've been gifted a free meal, and it was unbelievable what she ordered. It was a roasted natural chicken, dilly cucumber salad, hot creamy mac and cheese, double chocolate, slice of double chocolate cake, hot Yukon Gold whipped potatoes, pumpkin pie, and Cool Whip topping. Problem is, couldn't find a driver. I guess with it being Thanksgiving and school being out. So she said she'd have it delivered to me for Sunday lunch at my condo. So very sweet and kind of her to do that, but I didn't get it. But I had bought some sliced roasted turkey, Chase, so maybe some turkey sandwiches and had that. So what about you? What was on tap for your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I fixed a good meal. It's first time cooking with me and my girlfriend. It was nerve-wracking.
Now you cooked?
Yeah, I cooked.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord is right.
What all did you cook?
So we had dressing, mac and cheese, turkey. We had greens. We had a nice sweet potato marshmallow pie. We went pretty ham. We were tired. We didn't really eat much. That's kind of the thing.
Did you buy a pre-cooked turkey, or did you bake it in the oven all night, or whatever?
We baked it in the oven. I was surprised. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so did you have some dressing, stuffing? What did you stuff the turkey, or you just have dressing on the side, or Or
We put some onions in there. We put some thyme. We put a bunch of spices. I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah,
So
my
you went
girlfriend.
all out.
Yeah,
It was
I had to.
It was just the two of you?
Yeah, we were gonna have some friends come over, but some things happened, so we were like, you know what? All for us, I guess.
Well, how much? Do you remember how much your turkey weighed?
It was about 15
Okay,
pounds.
wow. Okay, well, that's impressive, dude. So you basted it and got it ready, like you said, stuffed it with some flavor, and then so what time did you put it in the oven?
We put it in the oven. Actually, the morning of, so around like 8 a.m. We had to get up early.
What time did you pull it out?
We pulled it, about 4. It was taking a long time to cook. We were getting a little hangry.
Well, listen, that's a. I don't do them myself, but I mean, I've been around. It's about an 8-hour project, I think, to get it the way you want to get it. You know what I mean? You certainly don't want it not to be cooked. So, well, that's pretty cool, man, that you went through and did the whole deal. Yeah, I probably should have bought a pre-cooked turkey breast or something, but I wasn't for sure that I wasn't going to go over to the country. I thought maybe that I would, but by Wednesday evening, I just was like, you know what? I'm not feeling up to it. I had, just been battling a head cold, and I just said, it's over about 2.5 hours one way, and then 2.5 hours back, and then had to be here this morning. Got to go until, of course, all night. Work until 10 o'clock news tonight, then back tomorrow, all day Iron Bowl coverage. And so I was like, but what I did do, so people, I may be bored people with this, but I think it's interesting what people do on Thanksgiving. In fact, everybody out there, I'd love to hear what you did. So I just decided to run to the grocery store, and I bought some sliced roasted turkey. Obviously, I bought some bread, some cheese, and I made some turkey sandwiches, and I bought a bunch of snacks. I did have that all available all day. Some fruit, and I did buy some donuts so I didn't buy pie or anything. But so I mean, I ate fine. It was just kind of weird. But I, like I said, I needed the break, and I did some stuff that I normally don't do, and I had a Christmas tree in storage, and I hadn't gotten it out, so I did go get it. And normally, Chase, I've already got the little lights on it, and normally I don't even put any decorations on it. I turn the lights on, And but I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, "You really ought to put some decorations on that tree." And so I went to Big Lots, which was open, and then of all things, Chase, they had 50% off all of their Christmas decorations and lights yesterday. Wow! So I bought some extra lights, and I bought some lights for my balcony, which I haven't put up yet, but I will. And I bought a little strand for underneath my TV, and I bought some of the neatest little. I think they look neat because my lights are white. I bought some little white, snowy-looking pine cone decorations, and put them all over the tree, and strung another thing of lights, and bought some candles, and bought another little strand of lights for underneath my TV, and decorated the tree and put that little strand of lights up, bought some Christmas candles and put them out. And I already have another little LED tree in the corner, which is, it's about 3 feet tall. You just plug it in, the little LED lights on like the like fishing line. What do you call that? Monofilament or whatever. Yeah. Lights it up. So I'm all decorated. For Christmas, which is kind of unusual for me. Anybody knows me usually knows it. There's not much going into the Christmas decorating, but this year I'm all ready, pal. So I used yesterday to do some Christmas decorating. How about that?
Look at you go.
So, but anyway, back to work today at Innisfree Irish Pub, Fridays at the Free. And again, Moose says, hey, if you want to slide by, food won't start. And by the way, they have their game day menu all weekend because of the fact that it's going to be so busy. No Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 today, but everything that is available on the game day menu, plenty of sandwiches, hamburgers, hot dogs, sides, a lot of good food and a lot of good fun. Of course, there'll be a lot of people watching the game here tomorrow afternoon as well. All right, we're off and running on the Gary Harris Show. Before we go any further and I tell you the lineup, let me let you know this hour, the program being brought to you as always by Alabama Credit Union. Member owned and not for profit. It really is just a better way of banking. become a member today. I mean, it is a traditional banking institution is taking its profits and paying off its shareholders. Alabama Credit Union is taking its profits and returning them to you, the member, in the form of lower interest rates on loans and higher dividends on all your savings, CDs, and everything else. It really is just a better way of banking. Go to alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com to learn more. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, let me tell you what we got on tap. We've got Jeff Spiegel, ABC 3340, longtime sports anchor, host of The Zone, host of the EOG Wrap, joining us at 9:30 to talk Iron Bowl. He's normally with us on Thursdays, but obviously we didn't have a show yesterday. And then at 10:30, Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report from the Auburn Blitz to give us the Auburn side of the Iron Bowl. We also have our Bama football trivia contest presented by T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall, giving away, and I've got a picture of it on my Twitter account, at Gary Harris _WVUA, and on my Gary Harris WVUA 23 Facebook account, as well as my personal account. We're giving away another one of the Gravedigger prints with Jalen Milroe and Isaiah Bond from last year, 4th and 31, when Alabama won the Iron Bowl, ready for framing for Christmas. It's beautiful. And we're going to do Bama football trivia. I always have to coordinate this with Chase. And normally we have a 10 o'clock guest on Friday, but we don't today. But that's okay. We're going to go ahead and do the contest at 10 o'clock. And what we will do is like we always do. We won't take any phone calls for air while we're doing the contest because the phones will be open to qualify you. But what we will do is I will just simply entertain you with my wit and wisdom on the Iron Bowl. And so we'll do the entire segment qualifying folks for the giveaway. And then in the final segment, of course, we'll give you the answer to the trivia question. And again, the way it's simple how it works. And I will ask you this, okay? If you've already won this year, please don't try to qualify. And because we love trying to spread this around and certainly love the fact that you've won. But if you've won once, and Gavin was great about it last week. Gavin was a repeat winner. And so we just went ahead and rolled another number and got another winner. But if you've won this year and of course, if you have, then please don't try to qualify because let's make sure we get it in the hands of somebody that has not already won this year. So let's do that. But if you're the 13th caller, then your number is 13. If you're the 22nd caller, then your number is 22. And your name's next to your number. And if there's more than one, let's say Jim, there's more than one Jim that qualifies, then obviously Chase will have a phone number and he'll distinguish between the Jim that is number 8 and the Jim that's number 22 or whatever. So we won't be an issue there because he gets a phone number for everybody when he's qualifying you. So we'll have the right winner. So if there's more than one, because that has happened before, let's say there's 2 times that qualify. Well, one time, has one phone number, obviously, and one time has another number. So we'll make sure we get the right person is the right winner. So, we'll handle all that at 10 o'clock this morning. Also, your phone calls are welcome on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904. That's 205-342-9904 is the number. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your Iron Bowl scores. And we're going to dive full speed into the Iron Bowl in the next segment. And I've got some strong thoughts on what I think has happened here to get to this point. And what I mean by that is just a few weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I think that most people felt like that Alabama was going to win this Iron Bowl, maybe win it handily. But we are, Nick Saban was always about the process, but most of us live in the world of results. And we look at results and we base opinions on the most recent result. And the most recent results are from last Saturday last Saturday night to be specific, when Auburn knocked off Texas A&M 43-41 in 4 overtimes. And Alabama got handled out in Norman, Oklahoma by a 5-win Oklahoma Sooner team, 24-3. So that's the result. That's the most recent, and that's the one that's kind of resonating with people. So now there are a lot of people that feel like Auburn's going to win this game, or that it's certainly going to go down the wire. And I get it. I see that, but I also know what recent history has told us is that this game in Tuscaloosa usually isn't close. The last close game in Tuscaloosa, really close game, was the comeback when Auburn came back to win in 2010, 28-27. Heartbreaking loss for Alabama. They were 24-0 in that game. And then in 2014, Auburn got off to a fast start, but Alabama eventually had a 55-36 lead, and Auburn scored in the final seconds, went for two, and made it 55-44. But the last single-digit Iron Bowl was the comeback, and in 2012 it was 49-0, 42-0 at half. 2014, as I mentioned, 55-44. 2016, 2018, 2020, 2022, blowouts. Absolute blowouts. Alabama won all those games by at least 3 touchdowns. So, but I've got some thoughts on that, and I want to hear your thoughts. And it's a special game. It's a special rivalry. It's changed a lot. I will say this. The first big change, obviously, is when it moved from Legion Field to campus for the first time in 1989. Auburn hosted the Iron Bowl, and then they hosted again in 93. The 90, 91, and 92 games were all played in Birmingham. And then Auburn started playing its home game against Alabama at Jordan-Hare, and then it moved to Bryant-Denny for the first time in 2000. The last time the Iron Bowl was played in Birmingham was 1998. So that was a big change. And then another big change is just the whole way the conference is expanded, and it's just not – it's still a huge game, don't get me wrong, but there's so much more around college football now that these season-ending rivalries aren't quite what they once were in terms of the focus on just that one singular game. It's all big picture stuff now. But we need to get to the break. It's 9:19. The Gary Harris Show rolling along to you live on a Friday morning at Innisfree Irish Pub. Fridays at the Free. We'll be back. We'll take some phone calls. Jeff Spiegel, ABC 3340 Sports Acre at 9:30. And let's get some phone calls rolling in here. Tell me what you think about the Iron Bowl. As I said, I've got some strong opinions on it coming up here on the Gary Harris Show. We'll take a timeout. We'll be right back.
On the Tuscaloosa Thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Operation Iron Ruck is underway. It's a military-type march of veterans from the Auburn University campus to the University of Alabama. The goal is to bring awareness to veteran suicide. On average, 17 veterans a year commit suicide in the state of Alabama alone. The march ends Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium with the presentation of the Iron Bowl game ball. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special.
For the magic of the season, and there's free shipping when you spend $35. Save more on gifts with Black Friday deals. Happier holidays from Target. Restrictions apply.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Some rules and restrictions apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside.
Or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cold and dry today, mostly sunny with a high at 48. A freeze tonight, clear with the low at 27. And for the weekend, a good supply of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. Highs between 50 and 53 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 39 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to The Gary Harris Show. On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Irish Pub, 1825 University Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. Fridays at the Free. Of course, Wyatt Fulton will be following up with T-Town Sports Daily at 11 a.m. And the doors open officially at 11 a.m. And but as I said, I've got the side door over here by the set where I am at. If you want to slide in a little bit early and hang out with us here on the show, you're more than welcome to do so. At 10 o'clock, as I said, we'll do Bama football trivia. And that's when I'll also go ahead and do my SEC point spread predictions. That way, Chase can be freed up to answer the phone. Last week, if you're wondering, I went 4-4-1. So for the season now, I'm at 51-47-4, which is not bad when you consider, again, I'm picking all the SEC games. I'm not cherry-picking games. So to be 4 games over 400 is not too bad. I will, I'll stand on that. But we've got all the SEC games. 2 games today, by the way. We will have the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State at Ole Miss. And we will have the Georgia Tech and Georgia game tonight over in Athens. And then the rest of the rivalry games are tomorrow. As far as the Iron Bowl, as I said, perception is such a big part of the world that we live in now. And it just can change so rapidly, so quickly. I think if Alabama fans... Let's just say that Alabama goes to Norman, and it didn't happen. I get it. But let's say that they did. Let's say they had gone to Norman and won by 24-3 instead of lost 24-3. And let's say Auburn, that kid for A&M doesn't drop that ball in the end zone in the 4th overtime. They hit him right in the chest. And that he goes to 5th overtime, and A&M wins. What do you think the perception of this Iron Bowl would be? I think it'd be completely different. I think it would be completely different. I think that Alabama would be they're nice size favorite anyway. I mean, they're 11.5-point favorite, but I think they'd probably be about a 15-point favorite. I think that the vibe would be that Auburn we know would not be playing for bowl eligibility. They would already be eliminated from bowl contention, and I think the feeling would be that Alabama was going to blow Auburn out. Now, on the field tomorrow, what happened last Saturday night had Alabama won 24-3 over Oklahoma and A&M beating Auburn. I don't know how much it would actually impact the game tomorrow. The game would still be played tomorrow between the lines with the same 2 football teams, with the same personnel, with the same, all the factors that are going to be alive tomorrow. So what my point would be, what happened last Saturday night had Alabama rolled over Oklahoma and Auburn lost to A&M, the game would still have to be decided between the lines tomorrow. But I think the perception would be completely different. So my point is, these are the same 2 football teams that are going to face each other tomorrow as they would be had results last Saturday been different. So for Alabama, if anything, maybe there's, a little bit of an edge in the standpoint that there's certainly no chance that they're going to come in, I would think, overconfident or taking Auburn for granted now. If they do, that's on them. Because Auburn has a lot of momentum coming off that win. Alabama has no momentum after getting slapped around in Norman. So maybe that works to Alabama's favor, as if it had played out the way I said, and Alabama wins 24-3 in Norman, and A&M beats Auburn in 4 or 5 overtimes, then maybe Alabama's perception of this game is different. It should be one right now where they say, hey, we've got to go out and play and earn this win and be ready to go. Now, I don't have any idea. I never know. We don't go to practice. We do get we get some clips a couple days from practice, and players get to talk about the games coming up, but I never really know. And I talk to people, and listen, they had a great week of practice. That's come back to bite me in the rear end so many times, I can't even tell you. I've talked to, someone that's in the building. Oh, man, they've had an unbelievable week of practice. It's been the best week of practice. And I've seen them go out on Saturday and lay an egg. And I've heard, man, they weren't sharp this week. They weren't dialed in. And I've seen that go the other way too. And the team played a great game. And of course, it works. I've heard they've had a great week of practice and they did play well, and I've heard they didn't have a great week of practice and they didn't play well. But at the same time, I've heard the other way. Yeah, they had a great week of practice and then they don't play well. So you never really know. But I do think that how you prepare, your preparation means a lot. And I do think it shows up on Saturday. So this week, I really don't know. I've not had really much insight into how it's gone over there this week at Alabama or Auburn. So, but again, it's the game's going to be played tomorrow, and what happened last week will be secondary to what happens tomorrow. My point being, if Alabama had beaten Oklahoma, but then lost to Auburn, I think you would have a really negative vibe around the program, obviously. And if hey, somebody's trying to get in here. So had they beaten Oklahoma and lost to Auburn, it's going to be negative tomorrow. Losing to Oklahoma, that does not change anything as far as the game tomorrow. But if they beat Auburn tomorrow, then all of a sudden you're going to have a much more positive vibe around the program. So tomorrow matters for both these fan bases. And what happened last Saturday will be a secondary story based on what happens tomorrow. All right, it's 9:30. We're going to get the time out here live from Innisfree Irish Pub, Fridays at the Free. I'm Gary Harris. We are going to come back with Jeff Spiegel from ABC 3340, talk Iron Bowl and other football-related topics with him. Innisfree opens at 11 a.m., but as I said, if you slide in that side door, you can hang out a little bit early with us. We'll be right back from Innisfree Irish Pub. Stay with us. Back after this.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a...
Received him not. There wasn't even room in the inn. Let him into your home and have a Merry Christmas. From Taco Casa.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily...
.com with generics, if appropriate. Visit TryRexMD.com right now to get your sample pack. That's TryRexMD.com.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
Show, and loyal Tide listener Josh from Georgia has made his way to Tuscaloosa for his first Iron Bowl in person tomorrow. That's quite a thrill. We might have to visit with Josh here. Who knows? But he slid in here to Innisfree Irish Pub. So, like I said, if you're out and about and want to slide by, the side door is open. You can hang out with us here for a little bit. They open for food service at 11 a.m. All right, let's jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome in Jeff Spiegel, longtime sports anchor, ABC 3340, host of The Zone, host of EOG Rap, normally with us on Thursdays, but we let Jeff take off for Thanksgiving. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Gary. How you doing?
Doing great. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was really good. You know, I didn't overeat this year, which is usually a problem for me. But so it was good. We had a lot of folks over at my mother-in-law's house. We had 23 people over, so it was a good time had by all.
Well, that's awesome, man. All right, we're in full-fledged football mode now, as we normally are this week after Thanksgiving. You have that Friday, and then you get ready for the Iron Bowl on Saturday. I was saying earlier that perception, I think, of this game is a lot different than it was at this time a week ago. And it would have been a lot different. Let's say Alabama went to Norman and beat Oklahoma 24-3, and Auburn lost in 4 overtimes to Texas A&M. I think we'd see this game completely differently. That didn't happen. Oklahoma won 24-3. Auburn won in 4 overtimes. But the teams are the same. They're the same whether they won or lost last week. This game's going to be decided between the lines tomorrow. But all of a sudden, there's a lot of momentum for Auburn. We know they haven't had really a competitive Iron Bowl here in terms of a score, and since they won here in 2010. All the other ones was an 11-point game in 2014. The rest have been 3 touchdowns or more. Alabama has been on the winning end. But now all of a sudden, there's a lot of momentum for Auburn. Are you buying it that the Tigers could really come in here and pull the upset?
Well, I'm buying that they have a lot of momentum. We were talking with Roman Harper Monday, and Roman made a good point. Roman, a former Crimson Tider, who knows this rivalry. He grew up in Prattville. He's lived it. And he said the one thing that makes him feel better as an Alabama fan is that Alabama lost and Auburn won. And so usually, going into this game, if it flip-flops, there's more concern that Auburn could sneak up on Alabama and pull off the upset. But look, I think there's a ton of incentive here, for Alabama to come out and put on a good performance. But I'm telling you this, and I know it's the Iron Bowl, and I know it's like the, bragging rights and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But this team just looked gutted emotionally to me. After that Oklahoma game, and I would be concerned, if they can find it, in their heart and soul to get back up and just play a good game, play a clean game, and all of that. I've never felt more unsure about an Alabama team going into an Iron Bowl, than this year. And I know that sounds weird. And I thought Auburn had a legitimate shot, really, to pull off the upset based on all of this. But then Monday, DeMarcus Riddick comes out and pops off about Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams and how Bama's never going to beat Auburn as long as he's there. And so, I just wonder how motivated Alabama is going to be because of all that, or if they're just so far gone emotionally that they're not going to be able to recover in time, to win this game. Does that sound weird? Is that a weird take? I think I lost you.
I'm back. I'm sorry. That's on me. I had punched. Oh, we went down. What happened, Chase?
I'll call him back right now.
Okay, yeah, that's that might have been on me. I had let's get Jeff back up, and I'm sitting here, and I muted myself for a minute there, Chase. So get him back on the line. That really wasn't on Jeff. That wasn't on you. That was on me. But we'll get Jeff back up. But no, I think Jeff covered a lot right there with the different topics, and I'm getting right back on because I want to pick right back up with this, with what he said. So let me know as soon as you got him ready to go, Chase. Because he covered a lot, and
we're good to go, Gary.
All right, we got him back.
Yes, we are.
We're back.
Hey, no, Jeff, I think that was on me, actually, over here at Innisfree. I think I had punched the mute button, so that wasn't on Chase and that wasn't on you. But, no, what you said, I was listening so intently, I guess I wanted to make sure I didn't butt in on you. But, you covered a lot of ground there, and I think you covered a lot of what the mindset of Alabama fans is, the uncertainty of it all. Because, but then, as you said, too, you had DeMarcus Riddick, and Cam Coleman, and Perry Thompson either saying or tweeting out stuff. One of the players after the game Saturday night, A&M, said they were coming in here to whip, kick Alabama's you-know-what. Here's what I see. I think the uncertainty from how poorly they played at Oklahoma. It's one thing to lose the game, but they did not look prepared for the game. They didn't like they made adjustments during the game. The effort by the players didn't look like it was up to par. It was just a really bad performance. So you've got Alabama fans questioning your team, questioning the heart, questioning your coaching staff, questioning your quarterback, from how poorly he played to the haphazard effort that he made to, instead of trying to tackle the guy on the sideline, just kind of trying to stick out his leg. So you've got your own fan base questioning you. Then you've got the rival, which is, Jeff, this traditionally has not been a trash talk type of rivalry game. You've got them just saying, hey, we're coming in there to whip your rear ends. So my point is the point you made is that forget coaches. If you, as a player, if you can't get yourself ready to go in this game and fired up and to give your maximum effort to lay it all on the field for one day, not worry about NIL or the portal or anything that's coming up down the road. If you can't buy in and get yourself ready to go in this game, then you don't have the right stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know that you should even be playing football at Alabama. You should have no issues getting yourself ready to play. Would you agree with that?
Well, I would agree with that. I would also agree with, what Nick Saban was saying on the Pat McAfee show a couple of days ago, that one of the reasons you have all this roller coaster stuff that's going on is because of the NIL and the portal. And so with all that coming into play, I mean, college football has become, Gary, just one big money grab. It's how much money can I get? What am I getting out of this? So you kind of wonder, and boy, you hate to have your mind go in this direction, but you kind of wonder how much the rivalries mean. Nowadays, how much does it mean to an Alabama guy, in this NIL and transfer portal era, to beat an Auburn team? Well, what does that really mean? And I think, we'll get an indication of how much it means, tomorrow. How much does it mean to have bragging rights and say that, say you beat Auburn and all of that? Or is it all about the money? And, one thing Nick pointed out too is that, he just really doesn't get why you wouldn't take more pride in your performance, because I guarantee you, if you don't take pride in your performance, there's a lot of NFL teams who are watching who pay you to take pride in your performance and to win, for your organization. So that should mean something to you based on that. But it's not the rivalry, and I will say this, and I'm confident when I say this. I don't know if it means as much as it did, Gary, when you and I were coming up. I don't know if it means as much to the players as it meant, back in the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s. It's just a different era of football and a different era of football player.
It really is, Jeff, and that's, man, you're on point today, because I've been thinking the same stuff this week about our players focused in on the right things. And just like you said, I mean, it is a different era. And I think the challenge for coaching staffs, though, is to, number one, still be in charge, still have the line of communication open, but at the same time for players to understand that the coaches still dictate and not the other way around. But to get the players like you're alluding to be able to focus on playing the game and not on their NIL or their promotional stuff or their brand or what's going to happen with them in the portal and their handlers saying, and you're right, Jeff. I think that's a major issue that coaches just 3 or 4 years ago didn't have to deal with. And can this Alabama team, which has already lost 3 games, which is not going to the SEC championship game, game tomorrow?
Yeah, and I felt pretty confident that they were going to be locked in when they went to Norman, and there was so much to play for, and all of that stuff. But then, first play of the game, Dupree whiffs on a block, and then Stutzman just nails Jalen Milroe right in the jaw, And then it's like from that point on, I mean, Oklahoma was large and in charge in that game. And it's like there was no spirit, there was no fight, there was no, let's win this one, let's play for the A, let's not just play for me, and I don't know. So that game, and I've heard more than one person say this, that game just seemed to, suck all the life and the spirit out of them and the want to, and so we'll see if they can get it back. I mean, you'd like to think that they can, but I don't know. I'm, kind of having my doubts a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong on this thing.
Having said all that, Jeff, who do you feel like will win the game tomorrow? When it's all said and done around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, who do you think will be walking off the field a winner?
Well, here's why I think Alabama's going to win, and I think Alabama's going to win by double digits. And it's Peyton Thorne. I don't have a lot of confidence that Peyton Thorne can come in here in a road game. Now, listen, the fans are going to be fired up. The fans are going to be fired up, and it's going to be an atmosphere, that's going to be really cool. And I don't know if Peyton Thorne can do it. I mean, he's looked good the last couple of games, and he and Cam Coleman have found a combination, and they're looking really good. I think the thing that gives Auburn the most hope in this football game is the fact they've been playing so well defensively, and that's what they're kind of hanging their hat on. But as far as Alabama definitely has the better guy at quarterback. If he can bring a performance, like he brought against LSU, or like he's brought in some other games. But if we see the same Jalen Milroe and same Crimson Tide we saw at Oklahoma, then all bets are off. But if we see the same Peyton Thorne that we've seen a lot of times this year at Auburn, then I think Alabama wins.
All right, let me ask you one more question on the Iron Bowl. Then I want to get your thoughts on a few other games.
Sure.
I've said this all week. Kalen DeBoer has already lost more games in a season than Nick Saban did since 2010. That's the last time that Alabama lost 3 games in the regular season. He's already lost to 2 unranked teams. If he loses tomorrow, Jeff, it'll be a loss to a 3rd unranked team. Saban lost to 3 unranked teams in his entire 17-year tenure. How important is this game for Kalen DeBoer? I mean, long-term, I think he could rebound from it if he loses. But in the short term, don't you lose your fan base completely tomorrow if you drop that game to Auburn at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium?
You do. Despite everything that we've talked about and the emotional, injury, that Oklahoma loss, it's the head coach's job to get this team ready to play and get them focused and get them ready to play, in a big rivalry game. And Alabama's an 11-point favorite. They're I don't know what the exact line is now, but I think it's around 11 points, right? So they're supposed to win that game, and they should win that game. Yep. And they're better than Auburn, and they should win that game. And if they lose that game, and if you lose at home, you lose the Iron Bowl at home. They haven't lost an Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa since 2010. When Cam Newton came in there and did the old Cam back thing. So if you lose the Iron Bowl, it is going to be a long, long, long off season and a very noisy off season for Kalen DeBoer. So it's going to be bad if they lose that game.
Yeah, it will be. There's no other way around it. All right, let's get to a few other games, just not all of them. But what do you think of Georgia Tech at Georgia? Now, obviously, Georgia's clinched its spot in the SEC championship game. This won't impact them in that regard, but it could impact them, obviously, for the playoff. And they're a big favorite. They're an 18.5-point favorite tonight in Athens. But this Georgia Tech team is they're physical. They can run the ball. Any chance that they keep this one competitive to the fourth quarter?
I don't think so. When I look at all these rivalry games and you look at the possibilities of upsets and all that stuff, Georgia and Georgia Tech is last on my list. And I know Georgia Tech had the big win over Miami and all of that. And Brent Key's done an incredible job there. They've had back-to-back 7-win seasons. But I think when Georgia is locked in and they see everything that's out there in front of them, that there's no way they lose this game. Now you talk about a guy who can get his team ready to play. I mean, Kirby Smart's going to have these guys, locked and ready to go and focused. So I don't see Georgia having any issues with Tech tonight.
All right, a couple other games just real quickly. South Carolina at Clemson. What a matchup this looks to be on paper. And South Carolina fans are still saying, hey, if we win this game, we deserve playoff consideration. I think if Clemson wins it and then wins the ACC championship game, they're probably going to to be in. What do you see in this game?
Well, I think they're the best 3-loss team out there. I mean, I really do. I mean, I love the way South Carolina's playing. I love their defense. I love, just how the confidence and the swagger that they're playing with. And yeah, Clemson's only a 3-point favorite in this thing at home. And, I think the odds makers know what they're talking about, when they lay these lines out there. So I give South Carolina every chance, to go in there and pull off the upset. It'd be a mild upset at best. I mean, you got what, number 12 going against number 15. Mm-hmm. And I just love what Shane Beamer's done over there. And I think South Carolina's got a great shot.
Yeah, let me correct something, too. Clemson will not be in the ACC championship game. That's SMU and Miami. As soon as I said that, I said, well, I don't think that's right. So they've got to win this game and then just hope that they get on. All right, I want to ask you about one more game, and that's Texas and Texas A&M, obviously. A&M, the loss to Auburn, while disappointing to them, they still control their own destiny. If they win over Texas in College Station tomorrow night, they go to the SEC championship game to play Georgia. And Texas is favored, but this is the game of the weekend, in my opinion. How do you see it?
They do. You talk about atmosphere. That's going to be an incredible atmosphere there at Kyle Field. They haven't played each other, I think, since 2011, right? Mm-hmm. And this has been one of the cool things about Texas coming back into the SEC, or coming into the SEC, is that you have this game. And I love it. When the TV listings came out, and there were some people squawking, well, why is it the Iron Bowl, the primetime game? I go, come on, man. This is the obvious choice. I mean, Texas and Texas A&M is the obvious choice for the primetime game. Kyle Field at night is going to be electric. And Texas is going to have their hands full, man, because I think the Aggies have been pointing to this game all year. And I really love A&M in this one. Texas has been, taking advantage of a weaker, they got the better end of the scheduling thing, but this is a lot of meat on this bone, and I don't know if the Longhorns going to be able to handle this one.
Look at Jeff going with the Ags. And
Jig 'em.
The saying out there in Texas, A&M gonna A&M, and that's what they did last week. We'll see if they can bounce back. Hey, great stuff, Jeff. I know you're getting fired up and ready for a huge weekend. Tell us what all you have on tap.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. High school football tonight. We've got the EOG wrap tomorrow after the Texas A&M game, and then the Zone at 10:30 Sunday on ABC 3340. Appreciate the plug, Gary. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, 9:53. We got one segment to go here at Innisfree for the first hour. We're going to come back and wrap up hour number one. Then in hour number two, we're going to be Bama football trivia at the top of the hour, and then we'll have Brett Pritchard from the Auburn Blitz at 10:30. I'm going to make my SEC point spread predictions coming up as well, and we got a big second hour coming up, but we'll come back and wrap up hour number one from Innisfree right after this. Stay with us.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa, Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for
living at First and Main. Visit firstandmaincondos.com or call 205-657-7465. Mention you heard about us on the radio and receive 1 month free rent.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cold and dry today, mostly sunny with a high at 48. A freeze tonight, clear with a low at 27. And for the weekend, a good supply of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. Highs between 50 and 53 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 39 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, we're going to put a wrap on hour number one from Innisfree Irish Pub. In hour number two, we're going to start it off in style. Bama football trivia presented by T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery at University Mall. We're going to give away the Gravedigger print, full size, ready for framing. We'll do that at the top of the hour to start the second hour of the show. Also, we're going to get to some phone calls a little bit later on. We'll get some score predictions. We got Josh from Georgia here for his first Iron Bowl. loyal Tide listener, although he doesn't get to tune into my show too much because he's working, but he always tunes into Ryan Fowler's show. We'll visit with him for a couple minutes and talk about the thrill of getting to come to an Iron Bowl in person for the first time. So all that's coming up in hour number 2. This hour has been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. All right, another hour coming up from Innisfree Irish Pub. Fridays at the Free. The Gary Harris Show rolls on. Stay with us, everybody.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the
or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Reduced because of the playoff. When Georgia beat Texas, it didn't ruin Texas's season. My first take was, well, if they meet...
If you're eager to find out what Colin said next, just podcast it by searching The Herd. And as always, you can listen live to Colin Cowherd, weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, on Fox Sports Radio. This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
So we look at Tua's contract at $53 million, and that's like 4th or 5th in the league. But within a couple of years, it'll be like 10th or 12th. So it is not unrealistic for a Pro Bowl quarterback whose team can't score without it. But is Tua not a better version of Brock Purdy? I mean, they're both 6'1", 220. They both have multiple injuries in the NFL. Neither has a great arm. Both have a great offensive coach, same system with great weapons that elevate them at 6'1". They're athletic, but there's no wow there athletically. I mean, Tua struggles in cold weather. I saw...
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Go. Hour number 2 of the Gary Harris Show, live from Innisfree Irish Pub, 1825 University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. And we have a lot to do in this first hour, and we're going to kick it off right in style because we're going to go ahead and do our Bama football trivia contest presented by T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. You know how it works. And I'll try to check the app, and I'll try to check social media as well. But the best way to get qualified is to call in on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline at 205-342-9904. Again, that number, 205-342-9904. Now, once we start qualifying people, we'll qualify you through the entire segment. Chase will be doing one thing. He will be qualifying people. I'm going to visit with Josh from Georgia here a little bit, who's in for his first Iron Bowl. I'm going to give you my SEC point spread predictions. But Chase will be doing nothing but answering the phone. And like I said, I'll be trying to check the social media and app as well. We get people qualified that way as well. But the best thing to do is call in 205-342-9904. All right, here is the question for this Gravedigger print, 4th and 31 from last year's Iron Bowl. Milroe to Bond. I know Bond's at Texas now, but he was at Alabama last year, and he made a heck of a catch. It was a great play. It's a split print with the throw on the left side with Milroe, and then the catch with Bond on the right side. You can see it at my Gary Harris WVUA 23 Facebook page or at my Twitter page at Gary Harris _WVUA. It's full size. It's ready for framing for Christmas. Here is the question. Kalen DeBoer is coaching in his first Iron Bowl tomorrow, obviously. The question is, who's the last Alabama coach to win his first Iron Bowl? Who is the last Alabama football coach to win his first Iron Bowl. Okay? DeBoer hopes to join that club tomorrow, I promise you. But the question again, who is the last Alabama coach to win his first Iron Bowl in his first attempt at victory against Auburn? 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. Like I said, I'll try to check the app. I'll try to check my social media as well for the people that send answers there. But the best way is to call 205-342-9904. Phone lines are open right now on the Gary Harris Show. Again, the question, who was the last Alabama head coach to win against Auburn in his very first Iron Bowl? 205-342-9904 is the number. All right, I'm going to get to my point spread predictions for the SEC in just a moment. But as I said, we got Josh from Georgia, who was very honest with me. He usually is working during my show, although he tries to follow all the Tide shows, calls in on Ryan's show a lot. But you made what part of Georgia?
Northwest. So I'm between Chattanooga and Atlanta. I'm an hour south of Chattanooga. I'm in that northwest corner.
That's a beautiful area.
It is. It is. The mountains.
That is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Blue Ridge
area.
Mountains ain't far from me.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Big Alabama fan, obviously.
Yes, sir.
But this is your first ever Iron Bowl in person.
First ever Iron Bowl in person. Yes,
Who's
sir.
with you?
Just me.
Okay, so you were able to get a ticket.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What motivated you to become an Alabama fan? Family ties, or how old are you, by the way?
26.
Okay, what led to you becoming an Alabama fan?
So in 2009, I watched that team, and they got all the way up to the SEC championship. And at the moment, they flashed to the sideline, and Mark's mocking the chump, and they showed Tim crying. Yeah. Was probably the moment where I'm like, I want to pull for a team that make people cry.
Well, they did.
And we made some people cry, and we've had a few bitter moments ourselves. But at that moment, I was like, I want to pull for these guys. And the elephant, I like elephants as an animal. So,
well, listen, you picked a good time to start following Alabama because in your fandom, which is only spanning 15 years, you've seen 6 national championships and 9 SEC championships. And we were hopeful for a 7th national championship and since you've been a Bama fan this season, but that's very unlikely. We know there's not going to be an SEC championship to add to the coffers. Alabama's won 30 of those simply because Alabama's not going to be in the game next week. Your thoughts on this season as a tried and true Bama fan about to attend his first Iron Bowl? Disappointing?
I mean, I'm willing to, I guess, chalk it up would be a phrase I would just throw out there. I'll probably get through under the bus for saying that. For a first-year head coach in the SEC, having no experience in a conference like the SEC, because the SEC is the best conference out there. You play top competition week in and week out in conference opponents, so you beat each other up. So to be sitting here at 8-3 right now is a bit surprising. I figured we'd lose 1, maybe 2, but to be sitting here with a 3rd loss is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, and I think what really, for a fan like yourself and all the fans, I think what's so frustrating is that after the Georgia game, even though, let's be honest, in that second half, that was rough. If Milroe doesn't hit Williams for that touchdown, that goes down as one of the biggest collapses in Alabama football history. So there were some warning signs even in that game, but that first quarter was electric, And but the next week, to go to Nashville and lay an egg like they did against Vanderbilt, when you could tell they did not respect Vanderbilt the way they should have. You lose that game, and then you lose in Knoxville against Tennessee for the second time in the last 3 years to lose to Tennessee the second time in a row in Knoxville. But still, after all that, 8-2, you go into Oklahoma last Saturday night controlling your own destiny. And obviously, those games were disappointing, but they didn't hurt you. Because if you win against Oklahoma, then you win against Auburn, you're in Atlanta, play for the SEC championship, and a spot not just in the college football playoff, but it's one of the top 4 seeds. And to go out and play that poorly, as a fan, what did that do to you?
It was kind of gut-wrenching. I won't lie. It was shocking, yeah. And to sit there and watch Oklahoma, you could tell that with that bye week, they prepared for Milroe. They knew 4 was going to, kind of keep the ball, or they was going to watch where 4 was. They wasn't worried about 2. They was like, if we can stop 4, Jalen Milroe, we got this team. Because if you shut Jalen Milroe down, you kind of shut down the offense. And I've had other people tell me that this year. And he's been accused of being a one-trick pony. I mean, I think he's got a good arm, and the dude's a heck of an athlete. And he can run. He's one of the fastest guys on the team. So, but I will agree, if you can stop 4, you kind of shut down our offense.
And what made it even more disappointing was Milroe got nothing going, and Jackson Arnold, who is really known more coming out of high school as a passer, they just ran the quarterback in the first half, and Alabama never stopped it.
I'm telling you.
It was disgusting. I mean, I'm like, again, I'm not a defensive coordinator, obviously, but I'm thinking, all right, they're running the same play, and we're kind of doing the same thing on defense. I mean, let's do something different. Let's maybe put about 8 or 9 guys up there, and if they throw it over the top, they just throw it over the top.
Right.
But
you want to dare them to throw it.
Yeah, but that was disappointing. Let's see here. I'm actually getting some people already chiming in here. Unfortunately, Sherry in Montgomery, if you're listening, your answer is wrong. Coach Stallings did win his first Iron Bowl, but he's not the last Alabama coach to win his first one. So you might want to text back in on the app because that's incorrect. But I'm reading through some of these app messages right now, Josh.
You're fine.
But all right, so water under the bridge. You know, you can't change anything.
No.
This is an 8-3 football team.
Right.
Trying to get to 9 wins, then hopefully get a chance to get to bowl and win 10, so they don't snap that 10-win season streak. And as bad as that game was last week, you know how much more awful it's going to be to lose the Iron Bowl. So
I know.
What do you feel like this team is going to be able to do tomorrow? Where do you think their focus is? Do you think they take care of business tomorrow against Auburn?
I do think they take care of business. I think they will have instituted a game plan for tomorrow. And I wish they would have done it more like they did at LSU. If Jalen Milroe is going to keep the football, keep the running back out in front of him, because he dived off to the right or the left, whichever play it was, when he should have just stayed behind the running back. He could have picked up those 3 yards fairly easy. But if they get his legs involved, I think that he's going to have a good game. But if they have to have him throw it, I still think he's going to have a good game, because I think they're going to throw some shorter stuff to the tight end, the receivers, maybe even some pitches to the back. And I think he's going to end up having a good game, because we've seen him at his lows. I mean, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. And then if you think about the next, couple of opponents after those games, really LSU is what sticks out in my mind to go on the road.
Yeah.
Not just his running ability, but when he did throw the ball and he did complete passes, it just moves us downfield little by little.
Listen.
So if he has his kind of a game, I do think we win, and I think we win by double digits.
If Jalen Milroe plays well, and like you said, not just with his legs, because he has proven he can make some incredible – he can be a thrower too. If he plays his game, and he should be motivated to do so, Alabama will win. If Jalen Milroe plays well, they're going to win. I hate to make it that simplistic, but if he doesn't –
no, you're right.
They may not. All right, let's see here. I've got to do my SEC point spread predictions, so let's get through them real quick, and we continue to qualify people. All right, Alabama. If you watch Tide or Insider TV on Tuesday nights, you know I've already picked the Crimson Tide to cover. They're laying 11.5. I'm going with the Tide 34-17 here, and for the reasons you just said, I think if Jalen Milroe is a competitor, and I believe he is. He's also keenly aware, I think, on social media and all things that are being said about him, not just by other teams' fans, but his own fan base. I'd be shocked if he's not ready to go. I'd be shocked if he's not ready to prove something to people. And if this is his last football game at Alabama, because we don't know what's going to happen with the portal and draft and opt-outs for the bowl. Since Alabama, I think, won't be in the playoff even if they win this game. Granted, you'd love – if you win it, you wouldn't turn it down. But, you never know. This could be Jalen Milroe's last game. I know this. He doesn't, especially after the Gravedigger last year, 4th and 31, he does not want to go out with a loss to Auburn. So I think he's highly motivated. I got Bama. You agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And my score's not far off from yours.
What do you got?
So I got 38-17.
Yeah, so we're pretty much on the same page there. All right, today in the Egg Bowl, I've been back and forth on this one. Mississippi State, not that Ole Miss is going to win the game. Mississippi State's miserable. They're terrible. But I covered that game for a number of years. I've talked about before. That is a nasty rivalry. The Iron Bowl is bigger on the national scene, but as far as nastiness, the Egg Bowl, man, I'm telling you, there's a lot of incidents in that game. But after what happened to Lane last week at Florida, he's really ticked off his fan base. They counted on being in the playoff this year. They went all in. The one thing he can do is blow out Mississippi State. I think he will. I'm going to take Ole Miss minus 25.
Yeah, easily.
Georgia. Now I'm really interested in what you think living in Georgia. Georgia's a good team. Good team. They're tough. They're physical. We know that, but they're not what they've been. And I tell you this, I just think 18.5 is too much. I think Georgia Tech can run the football. I think they can shorten the game. I like the points there. I'm taking Georgia. I think Georgia will win, but I'm taking Georgia Tech plus the 18.5.
If you look at this year's Georgia Tech team, it's like almost like this year's Vanderbilt team, where they say it's not your daddy's team.
That's right.
And they feel scrappy. Haynes King, I'm not sure if he'll play or not. I got a Georgia Tech friend, and he said they're iffy on him. But if he does play, they're going to probably run him more than throw him because that shoulder's still giving him a problem. But if he takes a hit, then you wonder. But I'm willing to do the same, and Georgia may win the game, but I take the points.
But the other kid's played well at quarterback for
He has.
Tech.
He really has. He has.
So they obviously you'd like to have Haynes King, but the other kid is the
But I do like the Tech to give him
I do. I think
close
they'll give a game. All right, let's run through the rest of them here. Vandy catching 11 at home in Nashville. Now we know, just like that being at home doesn't mean it's going to be Tennessee's going to dominate the crowd. We know that. But still, I mean, I have seen enough from Vanderbilt, even when they've lost. Even last week at LSU, even at home to Texas. Tennessee's laying 11 here. I mean, I don't think Vanderbilt's going to win the game, Josh, but I'm taking Vandy plus the 11.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Are you?
They may not win the game, but if you watch this kid Pavia once they beat Alabama, just the confidence he has played with, and they played Texas close. And, I mean, if you go back to what you said about the crowd, we dominated the crowd as far as the 28,000 that was up there in Nashville.
Absolutely.
So, but I do think they covered that 11.
Well, I'll be glad when they get done with that stadium because they need some more. They need some more seats in a hurry. Vanderbilt continues not to get any respect. South Carolina at Clemson. What a big game because South Carolina, if they win here, I do think they can make an argument for the college football playoff, and they're kicking themselves over the LSU game, over the Alabama game. They could have won both those. Should have won LSU for sure. Could have won at Alabama. One game that got away from them was against Ole Miss when they got hammered at home. But I think South Carolina's better. I just think they're better. They're getting 3, so I'm taking South Carolina plus the 3.
I'll agree with you there because Coach Beamer's a heck of a coach, and they come here and they played a very physical football game, and then you go back to that home game against LSU. You're up 17. You shouldn't let that one get away from you, and then you get beat at home again by Ole Miss. But this Clemson team's been interesting to watch since they lost to Georgia, and they've not played bad football since then. But I'm going to go right with you and take Coach Beamer.
You're going right along with me. You haven't disagreed with me yet. All right, let's get on through these pretty quickly here. Louisville at Kentucky, or Louisville as most people up there say, I guess. I know Louisville's a better football team. I do. But I'm just, Stoops, the heat's on him a little bit. He almost left to go to A&M. He came back. He's got the big contract. They're getting 4 at Kroger Stadium there in Lexington. I'm taking Kentucky in the 4.
It's going to be an interesting game because this Louisville team, I've only watched one other game, and that's when they had Miami, and they had Miami beat. They should have beat them. And Kentucky's played some really scrappy games this year. That defense is no joke, and Vandergrift's a good quarterback. A lot of people at Georgia wish they could have kept him, and that's just the noise that I hear. A lot better than, the guy that they've got right now because he's had ups and downs at Georgia.
Yeah.
And, but I'm going to stick with the SEC and go with Kentucky on that one.
Yeah, Vandergrift benched for this one. All right, Missouri at home against Arkansas, rivalry game in this one too. Arkansas up and down. Missouri, I'm surprised, is only a 3-point favorite. I really thought, because Brady Cook's going to play, right?
I haven't heard.
I think he is.
I can check to see.
I'm going to take Missouri minus the 3 here at home. I thought I would have set this line at about 6. So, who do you like on that one, Josh?
If Brady Cook plays, I do think Missouri outright wins the game. And I'm with you on it should be minus 6 because you get 3 for being at home. And then I think Brady Cook's good enough to give you another 3 because we know when he can play and he gets it to Luther Burden and then Weiss, the other receiver on the outside, either one of those guys, what they're missing this year is Schrader in the backfield. That guy was a heck of a running back last year. But Arkansas, like you said, up and down. They beat Tennessee, but that was in Fayetteville.
Well, that's the reason it's only 3.
Right.
Cook is listed as doubtful.
Okay.
On the Wednesday injury report.
And you wonder about Pittman and his job security.
Yeah, you do.
So
I'm still going to stay with Missouri.
I'll stay with Missouri on that one.
All right, Oklahoma at LSU. I feel strongly here on this one. LSU's laying 6. They're not great, but Oklahoma, give them credit for what they did last week. But now, cat's out of the bag. that same offensive game plan is not going to work this week. LSU at home, only laying 6. At Oklahoma, let's say that had been 24-3 Alabama, they'd probably be getting 12 or 13 points here. I like LSU minus 6. I think they're going to roll over Oklahoma.
I do too, because Oklahoma's had offensive struggles. They're still out, 4 or 5 top receivers. And, Brent Venables is a defensive-minded coach, and he showed that last week. He game planned for Jalen Milroe, and we've had to play him when he was at Clemson. But as far as calling a head coach a game like this with this magnitude, I do think LSU ends up winning. And I really don't care for LSU. That's just me as a football fan.
Yeah, you have to pick who. Hey, when I'm picking the point spreads, right, it ain't about what I hope. Right. I'm trying to hit them. You know what I mean? And finally here, we've got, I'm going to save the big game for last, but we got Florida at Florida State. Here's what's weird to me. Florida State has just been god-awful. They've been brutal. And Florida's had Florida State's have Florida's number. I think Florida's going to win the game, but Florida's playing better. But this is a rivalry game at Doak Campbell. I'm taking the 16.5. Call me crazy. I'm taking Florida State plus 16.5.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Me on that one?
That's very interesting. I probably will go against you on that one, simply because I've watched that LSU Florida game and the Florida Ole Miss game, and somehow Coach Napier has pulled this team together, kept it together. I don't see how.
They should blow out Florida State.
They should.
But the one thing about Florida is they just haven't blown many people out.
No.
And I think Norvell rally. It wouldn't surprise me if Florida blew them out, but it also wouldn't surprise me if this game winds up, 28-17 or something. Right. So right. I think that's a lot of points in a rivalry game.
And Coach Napier, he's actually from my home county, Murray County. So that's right. So I got to pull for the homeboy.
That's right, you do. All right, lastly, the big one, Texas at Texas A&M. Now, boy, I tell you what, I think I've watched A&M do what they did last week at Auburn so many times that it just doesn't even seem conceivable that they would actually beat Texas and go to the SEC championship game. They've never been. Of course, they didn't come in the league in 2012, but they've never been. But 5.5 at home in a rabid atmosphere, I think this game goes down the wire. The last time they played, Justin Tucker walked it off against A&M back in 2011 with a field goal. Justin Tucker, another great kicker for the Ravens. I just see this, and that was at College Station. I just see this being a down-to-the-wire game and a field-goal game. So if that's the way I see it, and I think it's going to be a touchdown or less, I'm going to have to take the points. So I'm taking the 5.5.
I think A&M has the capacity to win this game unless they're completely gassed from last week. That's what I'm worried about. Mm-hmm. You go to Voodoo Land down there in Lee County, and you just completely gas your team trying to win that game, and you lose by 2. But we know the environment in A&M at night. We've had to play there many times, and that's something I don't like about some of these other teams. They've not had to experience this game in that environment. And this is the first time since, 2011, since that rivalry's been played. Yep. Mike Elko's done a tremendous job, and I'm interested to see. I can't say who wins the game right now, but I do think it's a down-to-the-wire, one-score game.
Too.
I will.
One you went against me on, I think, was Florida State. Mm-hmm. And because did you go ahead and take Missouri minus the 3?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So we're going to stay with that. All right. Well, listen. Congratulations on your first Iron Bowl tomorrow.
I'm excited.
I hope. Hey, by the way, I know you've heard this one before. Speaking of Alabama quarterbacks, you favor A.J. McCarron. How many times have you gotten that?
I have. I've gotten that before. Yeah. And tomorrow with the eye black stickers and the jersey, I'll probably get it a couple more times.
That's your doppelganger or whatever they say. All right. Josh, good to talk with you, man.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
It's 10:23. We'll get to the break here. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our qualifiers. I'm going to check the app one more time, check a couple social media messages. I may get a couple more in for Chase. But when we come back, we're going to get back on time because I'm over. Then at 10:30, we're going to get the Auburn perspective from Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Blitz. All right, this is the Gary Harris Show. Let me mention real quick to you that YMCA of Tuscaloosa, a lot of people are eating turkey and filling up, and they're going to continue to fill up through the holidays. Listen, that's fair. This is the time of the year where you want to eat. But you can also, why wait until the new year? What I like to think about is, hey, I'm going to eat bad, but I can get to the Y and get a workout in to try to kind of counter it. Don't wait until January. Don't put it off. Go ahead and get to the YMCA of Tuscaloosa, 2300 13th Street.
100% satisfaction and appointments set around your schedule. Give us a call for all your steam cleaning needs, 205-553-9460. Houston Hydro Steam. Quality work you can stand on.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cold and dry today, mostly sunny with a high at 48. A freeze tonight, clear with the low at 27. And for the weekend, a good supply of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. Highs between 50 and 53 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 41 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
A national championship team covering a national championship team. The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 1027. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. And I am trying to get everybody qualified that's texting me. A lot of people have missed this answer. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm not going to give the answer away, but we had a lot of people message me with Gene Stallings. Gene Stallings did win his first Iron Bowl. That is correct, but he is not the last Alabama coach to win his first Iron Bowl. So I'm sorry for you folks that texted in Gene Stallings. That's not the right answer. Because I don't, but I want to be clarified that he did win in 1990. He won his first Iron Bowl, but he is not the last Alabama coach to win his first Iron Bowl. So just so we'll know, Chase. I've got Chase is texting me right now. I've got a couple more people. Yeah, Chase just texted me the same thing. A lot of people said Gene Stallings. So, and I've tried to text back people because try to give them another opportunity to win. So Gene Stallings is not the answer. So we had a lot of Gene Stallings. And again, so I don't want people to get upset. He did win his first Iron Bowl in 1990. I remember it very, very well. 16-6. Alabama had lost 4 Iron Bowls in a row to Auburn and Pat Dye. Gene Stallings won his first 3, but he's not the last coach to win his first Iron Bowl. So, Chase, how many? And I've got a couple more I got to text you during the break that got in. How many qualifiers did you wind up with?
We had 20.
Okay. Did you get the 2 that I sent you?
Yes, I did.
All right. I'm going to send you a couple more here during the break that got in time, and I'm going to check the app one more time as well. But we closed the phone lines down, so just so you will know. We're not taking any more phone calls, but there might be, because some people sent in the app updates late, but no, the app update. Okay, yeah, I've got a couple more that got in on time that I'll send you during the break. Okay, Chase?
Sounds good, Gary.
Okay, yeah, I see you're away from the headset because one lady, Sherry, I let her know that she was wrong, but she sent it back in right, so I'll get her in as well. So, all right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to get the Auburn perspective on the Iron Bowl from my friend Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Blitz, see what he thinks about it. And then in the final segment, we will give you the trivia answer, and we'll get our winner as well. This is the Gary Harris Show rolling along. We're opening up in 30 minutes here at Innisfree Irish Pub. Game day menu is in place. No Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 to
.com with generics, if appropriate. Visit TryRexMD.com right now to get your sample pack. That's TRYREXMD.com.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow trucks, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you
can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:34, and it's time to talk Iron Bowl from the Auburn perspective with my weekly Auburn guest, Brett Pritchard from the Auburn Blitz. And we are at Innisfree Irish Pub, and got a couple people slide by this morning, and they're going to open up at 11 a.m. Again, just the game day menu only today. No Lucky Lunch. On home weekends, they do the game day menu, but that's still plenty of great food. Sandwiches, hot dogs, hamburgers, wraps, all available for you today. All right, good morning, Brett. How are you?
Good, Gary. How are you, buddy?
Doing well, my friend. Let's dive right in and how quickly things can change. Perception-wise, I think probably a couple weeks ago, there was some. I mean, obviously Auburn was going to show up and play. I'm not going to indicate that they weren't, but I don't know that there was a real positive vibe surrounding this Iron Bowl. But then Auburn knocks off A&M in 4 overtimes. Alabama goes to Norman and lays an egg. And now there seems to be a real positive vibe surrounding Auburn and their chances to come in here tomorrow and win this football game. Is that kind of the way you're feeling it down there?
Well, I mean, I definitely feel like the momentum is changed from what it was prior to the Texas A&M game to where we are now. You come back and you win a game against Louisiana Monroe, and Auburn's done that against the teams like that on their schedule all year. I mean, the Alabama A&M, the New Mexicos, and then Louisiana Monroe. Auburn's won all 3 of those games convincingly, and then you look at the Cal game, 5 turnovers, you lose by a touchdown, and you really just gave that game away. And then you come back against Arkansas and 5 more turnovers. So you committed 10 turnovers in 2 games, and you lose that game by 10. And then, the Oklahoma game. I could keep going down the list, the Missouri game. I mean, all of those games, Auburn had leads in and found a way to screw it up at the end. And so it was a head scratcher because you look at the offensive numbers for Auburn all year, and they've been there. But the problem is turnovers and inefficiency in the red zone and the kicking game too. Auburn has struggled with Alex McPherson being out. Obviously, that's been a problem. But that's been the story of Auburn all year. You feel like they haven't had a bad football team, but you are what your record says you are, and they haven't had a good season. So we talked about it on our show last week how important the A&M game was for, not because Auburn was playing for a championship or anything, but just because they had a lot to show people. Can they win a big game at home? Can they knock off a top 15 team? That you knew the environment was going to be right for it, and they were able to do that. They were able to find a way to win in the end. Come back, Texas A&M takes the lead late in the fourth quarter after Auburn jumped out of that 21-0 lead in the first quarter. So they showed some perseverance to drive down the field, tie the game up, and win it in overtime, Gary. So, yeah, there's some momentum with this program and this team, but, you're only as good as your last game. So the next game on the schedule is tomorrow in the best rivalry in college football. So I know they would love nothing more than to come up there and put their best foot forward and see what could happen.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Hey, I want to get back to the game here, but you and I both have covered this game for a long time. You from the Auburn perspective, me from the Alabama perspective. And the one thing I've always said, having covered the Egg Bowl too, is the Egg Bowl is the nastiest rivalry I can't imagine. I know it doesn't have the national buzz, but the way that those players, opposing fans, I mean, it's nasty. Iron Bowl has always kind of been, I think we always said, well, it's a great rivalry, it's intense, but it never has all this other stuff. Well, DeMarcus Riddick made sure this week that it's got some of that other stuff. Now, whether he meant it to but he said what he said, and I've got the quotes. I know you've heard them over and over. Jalen's a good quarterback. He's fast, but he's not faster than me. He will not get out of that box this week. Ryan Williams is Ryan Williams. Yeah, he's electric. He's all this and that. But in my eyes, he ain't really nobody to me. Ryan Williams is himself. He ain't no big-time player to me. Then you had Cam Coleman, putting out some stuff, saying some stuff, and Perry Thompson on Twitter, and one of the players after the game last week in A&M. And I understand the emotions. I'm not trying to really indict anybody here. I'm just saying this hasn't been the norm in this rivalry. Do you think I was just a freshman? Because usually they coach these players up to be really careful what they say. What did you take of DeMarcus Riddick's comments? And he also said he would never lose to Alabama. He said he's never lost to a rival, but I thought Auburn lost to Georgia earlier this season already. But just that's just not been the norm in this rivalry. What did you make of it from the Auburn perspective?
Yeah. A little uncharacteristic, no doubt. And I think what you just said was all of those guys are freshmen. And, this was a great recruiting class for Auburn. And a lot of these guys know each other. I mean, Ryan Williams and DeMarcus Riddick, and, Jalen Milroe said he didn't know who he was. And we know that's crap because they were in a picture together on a recruiting visit up there. I think it's the generation, Gary. You and I have talked about this. I really think the social media aspect and the way these kids interact with one another, I don't think they look at it the same way as you and I would look at it back in the day when somebody would take a shot across the bow. I think that's just the way these kids act now and interact with each other. From one standpoint, Auburn's, I think, maybe trying to show that they have a mentality of that they're not scared of anybody. They'll come up here and play, and if Alabama wins the game, so be it. But I think they're trying to send maybe a message not only to opponents but to themselves and saying, look, we can kind of control who we are. And up until this point, before the A&M game, they had not done that. They had found ways to lose games. So I think maybe it's more of a self-motivator, trying to say, hey, look, they got great players over there, but we're not going to back down to anybody. And we got good players too. And I think that's kind of the way it goes. Well, do I support that kind of stuff? Probably not, because I think you just need to let your game play out on the field. But I think at the end of the day, though, you're right, Gary. It's an intense rivalry, but you don't see the trash like you see in the Egg Bowl. And I don't think you'll see it again tomorrow. I think both teams will come out and play really hard, and they'll get after each other while the clock's rolling. And after the game, you'll see the traditional picks with each other, on both sides.
Sounds good. All right, let's get back to the football. And, boy, Peyton Thorne has just been a lightning rod for Auburn fans his 2 years there. But you know what? He's hung in there. And against A&M, he played a game that was, outstanding, I thought. And just your take on Peyton Thorne and what he's come through to get to this point. And he does appear to be playing really well. And this team seems to have a lot of confidence in its quarterback right now.
Well, I thought he played well at times, Gary. I think the first quarter was really good for him. Then I thought as the game progressed, Auburn got in some situations where the things that had bitten Peyton Thorne his whole career at Auburn came back to bite him again. Backed up inside your 15-yard line, and you roll out and you throw a pick and give away 3 points. Now, credit the defense for holding A&M out of the end zone. But Peyton Thorne still, I guess let me go back. It wasn't an error-free game for him. It was one of his better games, no doubt. And I'm not taking anything away from him there. But there's still times that you're sitting on the edge of your seat, hoping that Peyton Thorne doesn't make that throw like he made against Oklahoma or make that throw like he did there against Texas A&M in a situation. We've talked about this all week on our show. I think Peyton Thorne has to rely on that defense that Auburn's top 15 in the country. And he's got to go out there, and we throw this term around a lot in the media. Gary, you know this as well as I do, game manager. And no quarterback likes to be labeled a game manager, but that's really what Peyton Thorne needs to do. He needs to take what the defense gives him. He needs to be able to play smart. And punting can be your friend. I mean, there's nothing wrong with punting the football. I think in this day and age, you're trying to get everything out of every single drive. But, I'm kind of the old school mentality. If it takes punting to swing field position, then do it. Don't gamble as much as maybe you would probably in another situation. And I think that's what Peyton Thorne needs to do. Last year in the Iron Bowl, he didn't throw the ball very well, but he ran it pretty well. And he did enough to get Auburn in a position to win that game that we all feel like should have won the game. But
that's right.
A botched punt, and then Alabama throwing the pass in the end zone on 4th and 31 got Alabama out of there with a win. So, there's about 3 or 4 plays in every football game, Gary, that determine the game, whether it ends up being a blowout or whether it comes down to the end. And can Peyton Thorne make those 3 or 4 plays is the question.
Yeah, it is. And on the other side, it's not completely unlike Peyton Thorne with Milroe. This year, he's been up and down. He's had the fans on his side, and he's had, after this Oklahoma game, I can't tell you, it's, you probably even hear it on your side of the state. It's at an all-time low for him with the fan base. I mean, they just are really down on the Alabama quarterback after that effort and the performance against Oklahoma. So there's some uncertainty here with both these quarterbacks. And
right.
From the Auburn perspective, again, I know you're not in those coaches' meetings, but they saw how ineffective Alabama's offense was last week against Oklahoma, which Venables had a great plan. I guess what I'm asking you from what you know about Alabama, do you think Auburn will plan on what they saw last week in terms of Alabama's offense, or are they expecting something different? Because I guess right now, offensively for Alabama, there's some question marks.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of Alabama fans call our show and send messages on our show online that, they're ready for Milroe to move on. And it's like, man, guy's been pretty doggone good for you in his career and had you in the playoffs last year. And, that's just fans, Gary. You and I both know that on both sides. I mean, what have you done for me lately? And, it should not be all on the shoulders of Milroe. I mean, if you look at Alabama, their running game has been non-existent all year outside of him. I mean, that's kind of an odd deal for an Alabama football team when they don't run the football as well as they have this year. And, again, it puts a lot more pressure on him to make plays downfield. And, I think the key to the game, and we've discussed this ad nauseum too, is Jalen Milroe getting outside the pocket and creating plays. And I think Auburn knows that. And if they can keep him inside the pocket and bottled up and bring some pressure and not allow him to just sit back there and try to pick you apart, I think that's what they're going to try to do. I don't think you'll see a lot of 3-man fronts. I think you'll see some 4-man fronts. And, Auburn has had trouble getting pressure this year on opposing teams. So they've had to blitz. And when you blitz, you leave somebody one-on-one most of the time. So, I know that Alabama's going to try to get the ball in Ryan Williams' hands. They've done it all year. And Ryan Williams is probably going to make some plays in this game. I mean, there's no question about it. But can you limit those plays? Can you limit the explosive plays? And I think it really does revolve around Jalen Milroe. Can Auburn contain him and not allow him to get outside the pocket and run for 100, 110 yards in this game? Because if he does that, it's going to be it's going to be tough to win. But if they can keep him inside and make him make throws, I think that's the game plan for Auburn on defense.
Yeah, that's some good analysis, Brett, for sure. All right, I want to get to a little high school before I close it out with you. So just tell me how you think this one's going to play out tomorrow in the Iron Bowl at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Gary, 5 weeks ago I would have said, if you're an Auburn fan, why are you going up there to watch this? But things do change. I mean, teams kind of take turns, and Auburn has some momentum, and Alabama has kind of come back to the pack a little bit this year, and they don't look as daunting as they have in the past. And I think Alabama's got some pressure on them, especially Kalen DeBoer in his first Iron Bowl. I think there's some that's going to be a unique experience for him. It'll be his first time in an Iron Bowl. So I really think it's a coin flip, Gary. I think Auburn's going to come up and play well. And I think they're going to kind of lay it all on the line. I mean, this is a team that's trying to get to a bowl game and extend their season. And, Alabama's still trying to stay in the playoff hunt. I mean, even with 3 losses, you never know in this new era of playoffs.
Playoffs? You talking about playoffs?
Exactly. I mean, it seems like it's kind of crazy, but Alabama, if they win the game, I mean, they have just as much of an argument, I think, as some of these other teams out there.
That Jim Moore line, no, that will live forever.
It'll live on way past after us.
All right, brother. Well, listen,
I'm gonna roll the dice and say Auburn comes up and gets a win. And I said it on the show. I think Auburn figures out a way to actually win a football game again instead of lose it. So I'm gonna say 28-24.
Well, that'd be a huge win for Auburn, no doubt about it. Hey, real quickly, obviously state semifinals tonight, except in Class 7A, which they only have 32 teams. So you've got the championship game next Wednesday for 7A. With Jordan-Hare and Saban Field and Bryant-Denny Stadium out of the mix now because of the college football playoff, which I'll be honest with, it was fun for a while, but those stadiums are so big. I love the idea that there's some other facilities around the state that can host. I would like to see it in Birmingham every year. I won't lie about it. Brett, you're part of the AHSAA radio network. That's a great facility there, but they're talking about maybe putting it in Mobile some. Great facility at South Alabama, Alabama State. What's the latest on Super 7 championships as far as venues?
Nothing has been definitively, decided. And I think both of those venues are the ones that are in the discussion, and I think they're trying to hammer that down. But I'm kind of with you. I mean, Birmingham's the perfect location. It's pretty much centrally located. It's tough to go all the way to Mobile and then, to go, even if they were to sign a deal with a team in the northern part of the state, it's tough on those teams that are on the opposite side. So I think if you can't do it at Auburn and Alabama anymore, I think you just centrally locate it there in Birmingham. But I do think Montgomery is going to be in the mix. That's where the HSA is headquartered. I think that one will get done at some point in time, and then, whether they're able to cut a deal with South Alabama or not, that yet is to be seen. But I like your idea, Gary. I like the Birmingham. I love Protective Stadium. I think that's a great venue for high school football championships.
All right, buddy, great stuff, and I know you'll have plenty of more Iron Bowl analysis coming up on the Auburn Blitz.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have Jason Caldwell on with us like we do every Friday, and we'll talk this thing to death like we've done all week.
And listen, I know basketball's hot right now too. We'll get to that next week, but with being Iron Bowl, I just want to focus on football. But we'll have some basketball discussion. But again, real quickly, Auburn Blitz, where can they find it at noon?
They can tune us in on if you got Charter Cable 701 and around the state. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook. We'll go live every day there. So, Gary, really appreciate it, buddy. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
You too, my friend. Thank you. All right, Brett Pritchard from the Auburn Blitz. It's 10:51 live at the Innisfree Fridays at the Free. We'll continue. We're going to come back and wrap it up. We've got our final segment. We will have our trivia answer. We fooled a lot of people on trivia. It's amazing to me. I knew this would happen. We fooled a lot of people on trivia today. But we'll have the answer, and we'll have the winner coming up for you in the final segment. Get you ready for T-Town Sports Daily. This is the Gary Harris Show live from Ministry Irish Pub on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama sports.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't
serve in West Alabama. If they don't have what you're looking for on the lot, they'll find it for you. Check out the complete inventory at Mercedes-of-Tuscaloosa.com. Roll Tide.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department.
The Tinsel Trail. For more information, visit ttowntinsel.com. I can't wait. Santa, can you?
Ho, ho, ho! Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cold and dry today, mostly sunny with a high at 48. A freeze tonight, clear with a low at 27. And for the weekend, a good supply of sunshine tomorrow and Sunday. Highs between 50 and 53 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And I am winding it down here at Innisfree Irish Pub. Again, game day menu is available beginning at 11 a.m. No Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 today, but game day menu all weekend. All right, let's get to it because we're just about out of time. Our trivia question today was, who was the last Alabama coach to win his first Iron Bowl? All right, we got a lot of Gene Stallings. And then Sark even came up. I want to clarify that one, too. Gene Stallings did win his first Iron Bowl, but he wasn't the last. Sark coached in the Iron Bowl. He was the acting head coach. He is not the coach of record. Nick Saban is the coach of record. That W went down to Nick Saban because it wasn't an interim situation. It was simply Coach Saban was out due to COVID. So the last head coach at Alabama to win his first Iron Bowl attempt was Coach Dennis Franchione. I'm amazed how many people forget that in 2001, Fran in his first season as an underdog went down to Jordan-Hare and put a whipping on Tommy Tuberville and the Tigers, 31-7. San Antonio Beard ran crazy in that game. So the answer is Dennis Franchione. All right, Chase, how many qualifiers do we have?
We had 24 qualifiers, Gary.
All right, we'll go ahead and roll that roulette wheel, and let's see what one it lands on.
Today's winner, number 15, we got Trey.
15 is Trey. So is that one that I sent you in?
Yes, it
or
is.
One that you took? Okay, because I got that is a social media winner. And let me go back and take a look at it real quick here. Yeah, all right. He's been trying to get. He and Jason both have been trying like crazy to win through Facebook. And Trey, you are the winner. So if you are listening, obviously you sent me a message. I'll have to get your phone number from you because since you did it through the message, social media message, and I'll get in touch with you and we'll get it figured out. Ellis has shown up to pick up his print, Chase. Ellis
nice.
in Tennessee. Yeah, he's shown up to pick up his Eddie Lacy print. So, all right, we're closing it out, but we're not closing it out from Innisfree, just closing it out from my show. We had Josh from Georgia stop by, and Josh did a whole segment with us. Did you hear it? What? Josh did a nice job on the radio with us. Ellis is here. You come on down. They're about to open the doors for real. And Wyatt and Chase will be with you for T-Town Sports Daily. Fridays at the Free. It's Iron Bowl weekend. It's beautiful outside. It's crisp and cool, and it feels like football. And we're ready to keep it going all day right here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. A reminder, catch me on TV with your local sports tonight on WVUA 23. I'll have plenty of Iron Bowl coverage. And, of course, I'll be covering the game for WVUA 23 and for Tide 100.9 FM tomorrow, as will Wyatt. So we'll be at the game tomorrow. Have a great football weekend, everybody. T-Town Sports Daily is coming up next.